I'm going to do an episode on how to crack the UPSC interview for the Olympiad services and other central services. The interview, as you know, is the culmination of the one-year-long marathon race called the UPSC or Civil Service Examinations to select the best out of the candidates who are sitting for the exam. So the personality test, which is the interview, tests our mental ability, our presence of mind, our balance of judgment, our views, our sense of awareness of the environment around us, the developmental issues, current affairs. It is not meant to test one's knowledge in the optionals or in our subject of study at the graduate or postgraduate level. So candidates should come smartly dressed. What is appropriate for this kind of interview should be formally dressed, not casually dressed. And the first impression gives the best impression. The way you walk in, the way you wish the chairperson, whether the chairperson is a lady or a gentleman, the way you have eye contact with the other members of the board, so that you do not ignore anybody. That will show your sense of empathy with people, and the way you respond to questions will show your attitude. So one needs to prepare oneself not just before the interview, but over the long haul by reading two good newspapers like the Hindu and Times of India or any other national paper of stature, one economic or business paper like Economic Times, and one periodical like India Today. And the topics are going to start by spinning off from your own biodata, what you have furnished in your personal information sheet when you applied for the examination. So they could start off with your name. For example, they ask me, what is the meaning of my name, Pradeep? Why is it spelled differently? It is not the usual D in the middle, but it is a T. So if you're mentally prepared for most of the questions, you have a great advantage. Both the times I appeared at the UPSC interview, I scored more than 75%. And the reason was that I was able to predict and prepare myself, anticipating more than 75% of the questions they asked. So it would be based on your background, where you hail from. So you should have the basic details of your native district, even of the specific specialities of the state to which you belong, the special problems of that area, and anything interesting, any current development which is interesting. So one should not be controversial and take a very extreme stand. So a balanced judgment where you state the arguments, both pro and con, and then take a reasoned judgment. That will show that you are a good fit for the civil service. So the questions that will come for this year's 2023 interviews, which are now going on, I will just run you through that. Which civil service do you prefer? Why do you prefer one of the services to the other, the IAS to the IPS, or vice versa? Or why do you have a first preference for the IFS over the other services? That could be a very natural question. And why do you prefer civil service instead of pursuing entrepreneurship? Especially if you are from a technical background. And today you find a large number of the candidates appearing at each level are engineers from different disciplines. Then they could ask you to list 3 important historical monuments in your home district and know a little bit of the history of those monuments. List 3 important problems or challenges currently faced by your home state. So it could be a healthcare issue between states. For instance, if you are from Karnataka, what are the healthcare issues or water sharing issues with neighboring states like Tamil Nadu and Kerala? There could be questions regarding to the neutrality of the civil service, whether you should be a committed bureaucrat. So you need to understand the word committed and don't trip on this word, because it has a meaning that you are ideologically oriented, which means you are unsuitable, because the civil servants are expected to be neutral. What are the shortcomings in the present participatory governance framework in India? That could be a question. What is the role of an Indian Foreign Service officer? What are the shortcomings in the present e-governance framework in India? Is the electronic voting machine suitable for a democracy like India? Your views for and against. And how has voting behavior of people changed over the decades? And how is it different when it comes to General Assembly elections as against election to the State Assembly? What are the important reasons for corruption in India according to you? And what are your solutions? If you did not have civil service as a career option, what would have been your best option? Then list the important recommendations of the National Police Commission. What is your view on police reform? What is meant by community policing? Is it a way to make the police more people friendly? And as I mentioned at the start, why have you preferred IAS over IFS and IPS? Why do you prefer IPS over IFS and IAS? Or why have you preferred IFS over IAS and IPS, as the case may be? And if you're a woman, there could be a question about, do you think women can perform well in the IPS? So here you should have in mind some role models like Kiran Bedi and how she made a dent in Indian policing and was recognized internationally. And why, if you're interested in all India service, why do you give first preference to your home cadre? Does it not mean that you prefer to be in your comfort zone rather than face a challenge of another state where you have to learn a language, understand a different culture and different people? So these are tricky questions which you would do well to mentally prepare yourself in advance. You could be asked questions like, do you think that the government should recruit more people for the civil services from lateral entry in future? What are your views? And there is a comment that many experts feel that the present civil service is still suffering from a colonial hangover. Do you agree? What are the changes that have happened? What are the changes that need to be forged in the civil service? Has corruption decreased in India with the establishment of Lokpal and Lok Ayuktha? If not, what are the answers? What are the ways and remedies to resolve the big challenge of corruption before government? Do you think the present civil service exam scheme needs improvement or reform? What would you suggest? Do you think India should pursue a superpower status in the world today? And do you know the difference between parliamentary form of government and presidential form of government? Give 2 examples. And what are the differences? Which would you prefer for India? Do you think India can move over to proportional representation system for elections in the future? What are the advantages and drawbacks of the proportional representation system? What is your opinion about identity politics in India? What is the solution to avoid identity politics? Do you think India is a soft state? If you say so, what are the reasons you would think so? What do you understand by the term secularism? Do you think it should be removed from the preamble, as some feel? What is your opinion? What is your opinion regarding the new education policy or NEP? Do you think it excludes marginalized sections of society? Do you think the 3-language formula in India is empowering, or is it an unnecessary and cumbersome burden on students? What are your views? India is currently the world's 2nd largest arms importer. Is India wasting precious revenue and resources in defense spending instead of spending on human capital and infrastructure? What are the ways to bring about the reverse brain drain in India? Do you think there should be reservation for women in jobs in the public sector? Do you think there should be reservation for transgenders in India? What do you mean by good governance? What are the principles of good governance? Why is India called a quasi-federal state? Is it more unitary or more federal in nature? There could be questions on latest developments like social media. Does the social media space require regulation in India? Should there be an ombudsman to to regulate and control the social media. What is your opinion? And what is your view on tribal culture? What is the contribution of Northeast and South India to freedom struggle? What are your views on the Padma Awards and the Bharat Ratna Awards? Do you think it is a good tradition, it should continue? If it should continue, what are your justifications? What are your views on the recent Agnipath scheme in the Indian Army? Why did it cause a lot of heartburn and uproar across the country? Is it beneficial or detrimental to the nation's security? In the interest of national security, is it right to authorize electronic eavesdropping on communication between citizens? What is your view and what is the view of the judiciary in this regard? Do you think that river water linking in India would be a solution to water shortage in some places and some states and abundance and wastage in other states? Do you think it is technically and financially feasible? So you should also go through your state-wise challenges and problems. You should be familiar with the state's policy on education, healthcare, agricultural policy, industrial policy, the green energy policy, strategic policies for women and child empowerment, tribal development policy, the export policy, and you should be also aware of the reports on scheduled castes, scheduled tribes and minorities. You can also prepare by going through modern Indian history, the NCERT books, and be familiar at least of the contributions of 4 to 5 important political leaders, freedom fighters from your home state, and be familiar with their achievements. Also go through details of 2 to 3 important sports persons from your own state or region. Be familiar with the details of 2 to 3 important women leaders from your state in different fields. And as I said earlier, get to know 2 to 3 important historical places or monuments from your home district or town. And you should know the 5 major strengths of your home state as of today. And what are the 5 major weaknesses or problems or challenges faced by your home state. Get to know the names of your state Chief Secretary, Director General of Police, District SP, District Collector, also known as District Magistrate in some states, High Court Chief Justice, and so on. Important functionaries you should know to show that you are aware of what is happening around you at the local level. You need to show that you are thinking globally, acting locally, and therefore, what is your contribution as a student for major causes, any causes? That could be a lead question. If you are from Tamil Nadu, your question could be, what is your favorite political leader or icon in Tamil Nadu? Why did you choose that person? List top 5 problems or challenges faced by the state of Tamil Nadu socio-economically today, and discuss the ideology of Dravidian leader EVR Periyar. Do you think those ideas are relevant for rest of India? What is the major criticism against Periyar's ideology? What is the secret behind the welfare state developmental model of Tamil Nadu? How is Tamil Nadu able to fare well compared to other states since 1960s? Discuss the scope of development of rural BPOs in Tamil Nadu, that is, business processing, process outsourcing, or call centers in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities like Krishnagiri. They could ask you questions peculiar to Tamil Nadu, that why do cine actors or film actors dominate the Tamil Nadu political scene? Why does the electorate still look to actors for political leadership? Is it a good thing or a bad thing? You could be asked on questions relating to the drug menace faced by students and addictions and what are the solutions. So there could be state-specific questions dominating the interview, because already the All India perspective and knowledge base have been tested in the 4 papers of the general studies in the main examination. So there could be greater focus on these issues at the state and local level. Then if you have stated that your pastimes are coin collecting or numismatism or philately or stamp collection or traveling, you could be asked questions related to that. You could be asked, which is the most inspiring film you have seen? What is the message that it has? And you could be asked whether every film should have a message or not. So in the interview, there are many issues in which there are no right or wrong answers. It is the manner in which you answer. It should be balanced. And some of the things you don't know, you can be honest to say, I don't know. instead of fibbing or trying to give the appearance that you know. If you've forgotten, you can say you've forgotten a particular name or a particular detail. So the interview is not to test, as I said, your knowledge or your information base, but it's just to test your attitudes, your emotional intelligence, your ability to gel with teams, your leadership qualities, so your presence of mind. So there could be questions relating to a presence of mind. There could be questions on international relations. Do you think India has maintained a diplomatic position vis-a-vis Ukraine-Russia war, rather than putting pressure on both sides to bring the war to an end? Do you think India has moved away from its strategic partner Russia towards USA over the past few years? Have we lost a trusted old friend? Suggest some important steps to improve bilateral relations with Pakistan. Why do you think India should stake a claim for a permanent seat at the UN Security Council? What is your opinion? Do you think we are far behind China with regard to influence in the global sphere, especially in Africa? We could ask you questions on what is meant by BRIC, the new international formation. And there could be questions on the failure of SAARC, the South Asia Association for Regional Cooperation. There could be questions on the border issues with China and whether we have border issues with any other country other than China. And what is meant by cultural diplomacy? How can we export our soft power and impact the world? And the leadership of G20 for the first time by India, what does it mean for India and the rest of the world? You could be asked important challenges faced by the Indian diaspora. So you should have some idea about the demographics of the Indian diaspora spread across the world. There could be a question on the Sri Lankan economic crisis and how India proved to be a true friend in this crisis situation. You could also be asked questions on your favorite role model in the IAS, in the IPS or in the IFS. There could be questions on civil servants joining politics at a later stage or after retirement, whether this is a good trend. And who are these politicians, ex-civil servants who have made a mark in politics as well as in civil service? What are the two most important qualities required from a civil servant? And you need to explain why. Do you think civil service in India is still semi-feudal and patriarchal in nature? What needs to change? What are the major ills plaguing civil service in India today? Then do you think serving civil servants should be allowed to use social media? What are the issues, ethical, legal and service related, involved in civil servants spending time on social media? So they would like to know your inner man. So you need to know yourself well enough to explain your vision, your values in a nutshell. What will you do if you don't get selected in this attempt? That could be a trick question to test your resilience. Check how determined you are to get into the civil service. There could be situational questions like you are posted as DM in a district with a very low literacy rate and high poverty. Society is patriarchal in nature and parents in many villages don't prefer to send their daughters to school or college. The daughters are also expected to help their parents in domestic chores. What measures will you take up to encourage the parents to send their daughters and for the daughters to regularly attend school and college? Or you're posted as an IPS officer in a district affected by drug culture. Many youngsters and youth are affected by this menace. What measures will you undertake apart from regular law and order maintenance to save the district from drugs? You're on your way to attend the IAS interview at UPSC. You started early from your place of stay. On your way, you see a group of youngsters teasing and harassing a girl. There are not many other passers-by. What will you do? Will you do something or proceed to attend the interview at UPSC? You live in a suburb of a metropolitan city in India. You have let your house for rent to a group of female students who are studying in a college near the city. Your neighbors are complaining one day that the girls are wearing modern clothes, skimpy clothes which are against Indian culture. As a result, the young boys in the locality are getting spoiled or tempted. They are putting pressure on you to send the tenants away. What will you do? Suppose you are the DM of a Naxal affected district and a group of Naxals raiding your vehicle, overpowering the security personnel. They want to kidnap either you or your personal assistant in order to demand ransom from the government. Will you agree to be taken away or ask the Naxals to take your PA or personal assistant instead? Then you also need to be aware of important burning topics perennial national issues like reservation, uniform civil code, then a single simultaneous election in India for the Lok Sabha as well as for the states. Issues like illegal immigration from neighboring countries to India. What is the magnitude and what is the long-term solution? They could also ask you slightly historical but controversial topics like some people label Netaji Subhash Bose as a Japanese or Nazi agent. What is your view? What is your view of the statement that one person's terrorist is another person's freedom fighter? So you need to take a balanced view by extracting the inner meaning of these seemingly controversial statements. You could be asked questions on Indian art, philosophy and architecture. You could be asked the meaning of social engineering. There could be questions on your academic background. If you are an IT professional, how can you use 5G technology for economic development? There could be questions related to your academic background, if you are an engineer or if you are a humanities student. What is meant by the fifth industrial revolution? In what ways can it aid socio-economic development? If you are a medical professional, there could be questions about holistic medicine, Indian medicine, and the need to combine allopathy with Indian medicine as a holistic approach to health. If you are from Tamil Nadu, your views on the NEET examination and the opposition across the board by political parties of Tamil Nadu and many sections of society. What is the reason and what is your view for or against? You could be asked questions on the commercialization of the medical profession and what are the remedies. You could be asked if you are attending an interview just after the budget, you could be asked questions on the budget. What are the special proposals in the latest budget, which was just laid on the floor of the Parliament on 1st February. There could be questions on ethics, your attitudes to different issues. I mentioned corruption. There could be issues regarding third degree, use of third degree in the forces. So all in all, it is a very rounded assessment of the candidate. The candidate is first put at ease so that it will be like an easygoing conversation which goes back and forth. The chairperson starts the conversation with the first preliminary questions, usually on the background, the name, the state, and so on. The other subject experts might ask a few questions on the academic background, and then the others would ask generic questions which could range from Indian politics to environment, science and technology, green technology, the use of electric vehicles, whether electric vehicles should replace all fossil-based vehicles in the near future, whether it is a possibility, and what have you done to contribute to keeping the environment green and clean. There could be questions to test whether you are working the talk, even as a young professional or as a college student. So wish you all the best. And with all this kind of preparation, you should be able to crack the interview in UPSC 2023. Thank you.